The first job I applied for, they were asking me for 10 years experience. There were some other criteria they attached. This it was only for first class. If you're not first class, this job is not meant for you. They are making us feel inferior.
I was told that I'm too young for a managerial role, and it was not about whether I have the skill. The interviewer was never interested about do I have the skill or not, but just like you are too young for the role.
After service, I applied for a job somewhere. They said I wasn't experienced, so they needed like 7-8 years experience. I'm a graduate and I'm fresh. I've not had much. I've not even had any experience except the experience I had in NYSC.
Nigeria's unemployment rate remains alarmingly high. According to recent statistics, millions of young graduates enter the labor market yearly, yet only a fraction secure jobs. But beyond the scarcity of opportunities, unrealistic job requirements stand as a silent gatekeeper, shutting out thousands before they even get a chance to compete. Imagine graduating at 26 due to strikes, only to find job listings that demand applicants be under 23, or being rejected for an entry job role because you don't have 5 years of experience. These are the harsh realities many Nigerian job seekers face. For many, job hunting in Nigeria is a frustrating circle. We spoke to job seekers who have been affected by these unrealistic requirements.
After service, I applied for a job somewhere. It was like a construction office, a company. So, but they said I wasn't experienced, so they needed like maybe 7-8 years experience. And I was telling them I'm a graduate and I'm fresh. I've not had much. I've not even had any experience except the experience I had in NYSC. So they said no, because of that they cannot take me.
When I started looking for a job after my NYSC, the first job I applied for, they were asking me for 10 years experience. Then, not even the 10 years experience, there were some other criteria they attached, like maybe this it was only for first class. If you're not first class, this job is not meant for you. They are not making, some of them that you are graduates, they are making us feel inferior. They cannot just say this work is not made for this particular person alone. As they could let it be open for many people.
I did once when I graduated, before I started serving, and the requirements are ridiculous, and that made me lose interest in applying for any job. I tried applying for like 3, and one said they need someone with 3 years experience, and I applied for another one, and they said if you are under education, you have to have an MSc for them to employ you, because I studied health education. And to me that's ridiculous. And the third one, they were looking for 5 years experience and above.
I remember one interview that I went to sometime in Ajabi. It was like they already gotten what they want, but they kept posting the job vacancy online, and then a lot of ladies were just there and they didn't even consider the transport fare. All of us just came and it was not real. What they demanded, none of us, we just graduated and we don't even have any experience there.
I would say it was this particular interview I went for. So when they asked me of my salary expectation and I listed it, they were like, okay, like the interviewer was like, that's too greedy. Even me that is interviewing you, I'm not paid that much. You get, like the common case is usually a situation of, you are too old for the job role. But I've personally had an experience where I was told that I'm too young for a managerial role. And it was not about whether I have the skill. The interviewer was never interested about, do I have the skill or not? It was just like, you are too young for the role. And probably because it was going to come with a well-paid amount, like a huge amount, right? So it felt like I was too young for the role. He didn't care to know about my experience, what I had to offer, my skills and all of that.
After my graduation, because of the rush to get a job and to make sure you are quickly fixed and you apply here and there, but some of the challenges came up then when organizations place a requirement for fresh graduates, and they want fresh graduate with years of experience, minimum of 3 years, 5 years, which to them, to me, is not realistic.
But why do recruiters set such impossible criteria? To understand this, we spoke to an HR professional, an economic expert.
It's something that happens in the industry, which is quite alarming. And as HR professionals and of over 15 years practicing human resources, I've seen a situation whereby an organization will be looking for entry level, and they'll be putting that they need 3 to 4 years working experience. I don't understand. How do you merge it together? You are talking about entry level and you're asking for experience. Then also you see some bogus job description. At the end of the day, the salary, it's 150,000 naira, 100,000 naira, and you'll be asking for 10 years working experience. You'll be asking that the person can do 1, 2, 3, about 2 or 3 pages of job description. So I think they are not realistic. So I don't blame the organization. So that is why the profession of human resources needs to really be regulated. I've had calls in many occasions, in many seminars, speak to the forum to let the CIPM, that's the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, to look into regulating the profession the same way the ICANN, the same way they are regulating the accounting profession and other professional qualifications that we have out there in the country. Because if it is not regulated, we'll continue to have issues like this, and it brings more like an embarrassment to people like us that have made human resources as a career. It is a career for us. We can't do anything else. And this is what we dedicated our life to do. So what do I mean by that? We have a lot of people that they are not worthy to be called HR professional, that they are handling HR in most organizations. When you have issue like that, where you are having entry level and they're asking for 3 years, 2 years experience, if the HR in that organization knows what he or she is doing, will be the one to tell the management that we're talking of entry level. So why will you be seeking for experience for 3 or 4 years? Entry is entry.
Our labor law is our first problem. We need to look at that labor law and make sure we are even aligned with International Labour Organization. And number 2 is that we have casualization of employment. I think that's another issue that we need to look at. Virtually, it wasn't this morning I saw a company, they said about 84% is collecting 1 million. And I asked question, how many are permanent staff? You have maybe 50 permanent staff, and you're having about 1,000 casual staff. And you're not telling us that you are paying your permanent staff above 1 million naira. How about the 1,000 people? You are paying them 50,000 naira, 40,000 naira, and they don't have any benefit. So the major problem is that we must look at that. But our problem that we have experienced, in fact, it has affected me as well too. They said once you are not 23, you cannot work. Once you are above 23, you cannot work in bank and some other organizations. But if you look at our graduation year, I graduated at 25, and before I will serve 26. How do I now want to work at 23? I can tell you some banks that say 23. That's a problem, serious problem. Another problem is that I will be looking for a job. You say I should have 5 years experience, and I did not work anywhere before. And there's room for rookie, for a learner. You can make me assistant to the major role. Then from there, I can now learn further. But if you say no, I must have experience, that means there will not be room for employment, and that's what is killing Nigerians, because they don't give us room to actually learn. Learn the technical know-how of some job. You now be subjecting it to some special people. I can even also say this, it's also bring the dichotomy of a well-rich family and a poor family. You know why? It's only a rich family that can survive that of early graduation. Most people that are not well to do will go to public primary schools.
With thousands of graduates entering the labor market every year, the competitions for jobs is fierce. Why does this continue despite the growing concern?
One of the reasons they do that is they just want, maybe they don't want crowds. Maybe they just want limited people. Maybe for example now, like they will say they want only first class. So if you're not first class, maybe it will only be few people that will have the first class that will come for the interview. So they want to cut down applicant that will come for the job interview. That's one of the things I see there.
I will say why most of the organizations set this criteria. I will tell you one, probably because of government. Because government, we are in Nigeria, if you look at, we have a lot of institutions that are graduating. You have a lot of graduates coming out every year, but there is no provision for them on the side of government. Then when you are now looking at private institutions, this one now give room for private institutions to set kind of limits. A very high standard, let me put it, a very high standard. So in order to stream down the candidate, you have to first of all place it on those requirements.
When I was in the banking industry, I was head of recruitment in some of the organizations I worked before I left. We pegged the entry level to 28 years. That okay, entry level, we're even very considerate, 28 years, unlike other banks, 25 and 26 years, because we have to put into consideration ASU strike. Even if you join an institution at the age of 20 years, you're expected to spend 4 years because of the ASU strike, 2 years, 3 years. So it is not your fault. So we shouldn't make them to pay for that. But we said, okay, our own entry level is 28 years old. But we still find a situation whereby people doctor their age. We have it in this country, take it or leave it. But there are some honest truths that we have to tell ourselves. I don't believe age should be a barrier in getting someone employed or to work in an organization. It shouldn't ever be a barrier. But because we have high rates of unemployment in the country, so it's a way of screening out people from applying. You see some organizations, they will tell you that you must have graduated in so years, you must have completed NYC in so years. So what they're trying to do is they are trying to reduce the number of applicants due to the high number of unemployment we have in the country. It doesn't mean that people that are 29 years old or 30 years old, they are not sound, intelligent, or better than those that are 25 or 26 years old. So that's it.
With thousands of graduates entering the labor market every year, the competition for jobs is fierce. But while securing employment is challenging, job seekers can take strategic steps to improve their chances. Beyond academic qualifications, skills development is key.
The first thing you should know that our labor market doesn't require you to have only first degree. That's the problem now. You need to have some additional certification. And that's why federal government has tried on their own wisdom to have what is called SAID. So SAID simply exposes you to 1 or 2 professional or even practical handy activities that you can do, that by the time you graduate, you can attach. If I'm an employer as an employee, I can tell you, if I see somebody who have additional certification and someone who have only BSc, I would like to go for somebody who have additional certification, because that means he can handle 1 or 2 things. Because in Nigeria today, you must have more than 1 knowledge for you to survive at labor market. Just like you graduate as a business admin student and you don't have IT knowledge, it's a serious problem. You graduate as a business admin, you don't have additional qualification, even in HR, even in customer service, even in project management. I would like to choose someone who have additional, because those little things will add to the person's performance and will transform the organization the more. So it's important that every grad student now that are likely to graduate very soon, when you get to youth service, find additional thing within 3, 4, 5 months and the year that you use in service to equip yourself the more. It will help you in the labor market.
While you are in school, trying to gain the knowledge, also try to be skilled. Because in Nigerian markets right now, it's not enough to just be educated. You need to have the skills. You need to have something you can offer. All right? So learn a skill, and if you can as well gather years of experience while schooling is also very important, because I did that. While I was schooling, I was doing some mini jobs along the line. So that also helped me to like gather work ethics, experience, and all of that.
Right from the time you are in school, you should be start preparing to learn how to be independent. So whatever you can gather during your service here, of course, you may still need, some of us we are looking at, you need a very huge capital to start business. But even in the interim, in order not to be wasting around after your graduation or after your NYC, whatever you can gather during that period, just ensure that you are able to gather something so that you start a little. When high responsibilities is not coming upon you now, you can start off with little.
My first advice will be to the job seekers and get prepared. Yes, and the economy, it's not really picking at the pace we expected it to pick. But on a daily basis, you still see people advertising. There's no need for you to enter an organization through the wrong path. That's desperation. In one way or the other, there's a popular saying that no matter how life is painted and well decorated, one day the speedy trot of truth will overcome it.
Don't depend on the government for employment. Don't depend on any organization for employment. Don't depend on your PPA for payment. You should create a job for yourself. You should be an entrepreneur. Be a content creator. It pays.
Maybe the government should, maybe from each schools, each universities, make provisions for, even if it's the best students, maybe from each department, try and sort them out into different places. It will make people want to read. It will make people have hope in the country, have hope in the system.
The journey to employment in Nigeria is tough, but unrealistic job requirements make it even harder. Until companies prioritize competence over arbitrary criteria and the government enforces fair hiring policies, many skilled graduates will remain sidelined. The question remains, when will this change?